All good? All right, I'd like to call this Monday, February 26th, Facilities Committee meeting to order. Those at the table, we have Drew Bishop, myself, I'm JP Prega, Craig Howard, Trina Scharschmidt, Keith Carrick, Dr. Farina, Dr. Roach, and Melanie Cunningham. So we will get started with an approval of the minutes from Monday, January 29th.
Motion.
Approved. I mean, second.
It
It passes.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion is approved.
I knew I had it.
So we'll jump to old business. So we have a couple work updates, and I'm turning it over to you, Craig.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Thank you for coming out. For old business work updates, the high school band sinkhole, I was able to retrieve a quote for that. That'll be $2,250. Marlboro entryway sinkhole exposing the pipes, I received a quote for that for $3,000.
Okay.
I received two more other quotes. That was the cheapest. One was $46 and the other one was for $43. The high school varsity softball field project.
So hold on.
I'm sorry, sir.
That's okay. Are we gonna, I'm assuming we're gonna follow through with the two,
The two quotes, yes, sir.
so you just gave us the timeline of replacement, or?
Well, once you guys gave me the approval, that's when I was gonna give him a call and see, get an ETA on when can we get that work started.
Same company doing both?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we know what caused them, or?
No, unfortunately, no, sir. No.
Do you know what they plan on doing with them?
Yes, I actually have the breakdown. I can forward it to you of everything that they're gonna do. Break it down.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
So Drew, it's just not a bid, it's not because of the threshold of dollars, it's simply a repair?
Yeah, just a
More so
repair.
than a new contract or something like that, so because it's a repair, we're assuming there's money there.
And I'm sure you asked, this is like a permanent repair,
Yeah.
this is not supposed to happen again
I
here.
don't know if it's gonna happen again, but this is gonna fix the problem with the sinkhole and pipes being exposed. And the little hole that we have in our, high school band parking lot. I think that's from our geothermal system. I can't be sure for that. We're still looking into that on the facility side to try to find out some piping to see exactly where that water is running to and where is it going. Because we're still having problems. We're able to take care of it. We've been taking care of it. We've been finding things. We've been putting off shut-off valves. We've been putting off different plex. We're taking out old piping and putting in plex piping now. But this is where we're at. It's something that we're constantly
So
chasing.
on the geothermal?
I don't know if it's leaking. We don't know if it's leaking. I'm thinking that it will come from the geothermal because the geothermal loop is all water. And
Are
that's
we
the
losing
only-
anything out of it?
No. And that's the only thing that's running through the underground, through the high school, through our piping system.
Unless there's drainage along the pipes that's causing the problem.
That could be it too. The sinkhole in the band parking lot is very small, but it has grown a little bit over time since I've been here. We noticed it in the summertime of June when we did the striping in the parking lot.
All right, so Drew, for logistical pieces, we have board support to move forward, it was simply just, that's enough to go? Did you want it, is it on a board, is it on an agenda for approval for that minimal?
Yeah,
I'm just
I mean-
asking the logistics, I wanna
Yeah.
keep this thing rolling, so.
So, I mean, technically, this would be enough, and then it would be on the bills for approval for the full board once the work is complete. That's all I would legally
Sorry,
need.
so I'll ask you, if you can send me the two invoices for both of these, we
Yes.
can include them in a blurb on Friday, that way everyone at least sees the company's name
Mm-hmm.
through there, that way it'll be familiar. And maybe one less question for someone's like, what's this?
What's the company name?
In a bit of a softball field, so. It's called Roy Hilbert, that's the name, gentleman's name, and the company name is Hilbert Excavating, Excavating.
Hildebrand? Hildebrand Excavating.
Hildebrand?
Hildebrand Excavating.
Oh, Roy Hildebrand. Hey, you doing Roy? Did
Thank you,
Roy
Roy,
give you?
yes.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not related to him, but he, okay, graduated a year ahead of me.
Sure?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so Trina and Keith, are you guys okay with
Yes.
moving forward
Yeah.
with this, the repairs?
Yes.
So am I.
Okay. For the high school varsity softball field, the netting will be here on Tuesday. The poles that were in.
Tuesday as in tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
They're gonna be storing it here at our, little garage over there at the middle school. Come to find out, we, have to adjust the, poles to come back for the netting. That's something that I spoke to, Bobby about today, as well as, the softball, Triborough, and they're gonna come out tomorrow, and we're gonna have that conversation when they come out and bring the netting. So we'll have to move that back a little bit towards the swamp area.
Okay, so
The poles are
So
too,
they're too close to
they're too
the,
close, yeah. Bobby said they were too close. He said that's where they're going up at, and.
Yeah, they should be just a couple feet off.
Yeah, just a couple
Edge
feet
that-
off.
that piece there.
So,
are we gonna have to eat costs to have?
no,
that?
no, he said that's fine.
Okay.
I spoke to Nick, who's the, service manager there.
Okay.
It's an installation within the next 2 weeks.
We was hoping to have it done by the 1st of March, but now that we're moving that, I'll get an ETA tomorrow. Better understanding tomorrow.
Okay.
The 3M field district-wide, we just wanted to, I know we discussed this for the 3M film exterior doors. That's a go, am I correct? We did agree.
Is there any funding for that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. I thought we talked about
This
that.
is basically moving the 3M film to every doorway on all the buildings. More so right now, it's sitting at just the main entrance,
Mhm.
but this goes and adds to the doors on, the glass on the doors, and the glass on the side, so to reach around to push that type of thing, that whole, kind of that major tier 1 stuff at all of the entrances.
Good.
That's across the board, all 5 buildings. Is that here too, or no? Here?
Mhm. No, we didn't do it.
Okay.
No, we didn't do it.
So that's all 5 buildings in terms of, it's a lot, if you think about all the entrances. But it's beyond the scope of just simply the main entrance, because we know that when things happen, they happen beyond. So I know it was discussed, it was just a matter of,
Making sure.
I think that should be an item that it is a part of ESSER. The ESSER 3 is we're winding that down, because that money's going to be gone as of September of this year. We want to make sure that the board, whether it's approval from the committee, we would put it on the March 14th agenda for approval, much like we had the fencing projects at the 2 at Marlboro and 1 at 4-5 last time.
So I'm okay with putting that on.
Yeah.
Yes.
You agree? Good.
Yes.
And we have some of that 3M film already on some of the,
Yes.
Main entrances of the buildings right now, there
Right.
is.
okay.
Monthly security report. Cardinal Point was able to hire 2 new guards. We had 1 armed guard and 1 new armed guard, unarmed and armed guard at the high school.
At the high school specifically, we have now transitioned. The 3 that were there to start are not the 3 that are there right now.
Right.
So it's just been some turnover, and whether that's necessarily Cardinal Point, or whether it's simply just
The way things
the
are.
way things are. They're doing what they can to recoup, and then we finally got the 6-hour person that was noon to say, well, now they're full-time during the day, so it keeps moving. But
I
Rodney
feel
is
like
on top.
Rodney said that was normal-ish.
Yeah, we would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, even when we had a couple of different companies in to talk about what we could offer, I think some of the questions.
Yeah,
were
again,
more
just
about the
trying to be transparent with everyone here. It's
Yeah.
the 3 that were there to start the year, not the 3 that are there now.
Yep.
And Rodney's on top of it, making sure we want our best to hold the standard that we started with the previous military, previous police, and all that type of thing.
Is there a new armed guard at middle school?
The middle school.
Middle school hasn't changed.
That's changed.
Okay.
If you saw somebody there, that probably was a sub, because somebody was
Okay.
called out. Mhm.
Because I drop my kids off every day, and I know who the guard is that's directing the
They
traffic.
have 2, but they have 1 armed and 1 armed.
Yep, so the armed is not something I've seen before.
Unless he was filling in for a day, I'm not
It's
aware.
been probably like a week or 2,
I don't
I
know.
think.
I mean,
But,
Jason's his name.
Yeah, Jason is his name, yes.
So
okay.
Mhm. No, we didn't hear anything about that.
I'll have to check.
But I'll double check on that, but I didn't hear anything about that.
Companies like this are just like bus companies. You have turnover, people leaving, coming and going. It's not like they recruit people to retire there.
Right.
Very few companies do anything like that. It's very hard to get people to stick. So,
And Elijah didn't work out over in Valley Perk, who was over at the 4-5 Center who everybody liked a lot, he's coming back supposedly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of people, yeah. Updates for the Ed Center, for the update for the Ed Center, we're just waiting on material. That's all, we're just in limbo for material, just waiting on supplies.
So again, to clarify a little more, if you were to walk over to A, it's not there. I mean, it's there, but it's not the same. The conference table's out of there, TV's off the wall. But if you were to walk in the doors across the way, make two hard lefts, you'll go into the new conference room A, which is where Craig's saying we're waiting for a door to come from the hallway into that. It was a storage center, and the team did a nice job of making it into a conference room. So eventually there'll be a door from the hallway into the conference room, and then it'll be locked to the door to get to the inside of the office space. And the old A will be split over the course of the next couple of months into two offices for people, right? And then we have another conference room type of thing coming closer down to the business office, which could be another conference space. Right now it's housed with Rachel Maxey, our homeschool,
Social worker.
oh, thank you, I was gonna say homeschool visitor, social worker.
Same thing.
Yep. And then there's gonna be a slider in the glass partition wall in the main ed center. And if you didn't read Mr. Roth's update, there's a camera now in here permanently, right above up here where I'm pointing. And there are 3 in the hallway and 1 in the lobby with additional security. So this is an eye that gets most of the room. And out there's one that goes that way and this way, and then up close and then outside. I'm trying to think of any other renovations that we were talking about. I know we put it in the board update.
That's perfect. I was going to ask where you were putting in that new doorway at, because I wasn't.
It's right in the hallway, like
It's gonna be
literally
right down.
just probably, if you walk out in the hallway, just to the left, probably 2 feet, you would go right through there. That's going to be the new A. And it
Okay.
keeps, and it actually it keeps people out of the office space area. Before you had to go all the way to the back.
Right.
And there were 1 or 2 incidents where some people weren't happy and decided to call us all choice words, and that got a little heated, in the bowels of the building, so to speak, with other people around. So this keeps it all in the hallway and more
Yes.
secure, and the lock that gets to the ed center, the multipurpose room will be refurbished or corrected. Therefore, everything is tapped in. It's always funny when someone from the ed center leaves their badge and walks out, and they're in the hallway, like, wait, can you get me in? But, yeah, just that, so, yeah, those are the tweaks that are there.
Just so for the record, anyone who wants to yell choice words, we do it in the hallway.
Or the conference room. Right.
Duly noted. Whatever the difference. Gotcha. Perfect.
Perfect.
On to new business, district roofing status, grant possibilities. I gave you guys a copy of the grades of the roofing, some of the things that we discussed on the last facilities meeting. As you can see, the high school and the 4-5 center is our worst group. So the question that I have for the committee is, for the high school, is that something that we're looking to start maybe working on now before renovations to the high school? Or is this something that we're doing for the renovations for the high school, as far as the roofing piece I'm talking about? Is this something that we want to move forward with now and maybe
Right.
develop a plan
I
together?
think you're gonna see a top 10 list here in a little while.
Right.
The real question is with the grading at the high school on some of those roofs, if there was any consideration, let's say, in the next 5, 6, 7 years to do anything there, we don't want to throw good money and then bad money in terms of being smart about. If we just take KCBA's recommendation to do something on the front of the high school, bump out and create some spaces and update, some of these roofs that are in the Fs would be.
They'd be part of that replacement.
Right, so they could be, we're part of that, and
Right.
then that's the eventual piece. Now, there's times like we put in some new concrete that we know if there's any renovations, that's different than a roof, right? I mean, so, but there you can see the grading that's there. So really, I think the question, and I've had this on the agenda here all along, and this roof doesn't need to pressure the agenda, is if and when we're ready to make a discussion about anything at the high school, which I know we all acknowledge it probably needs the next set of help. We don't want to move forward with big roofing projects if there's potential. And we may need to if obviously something catastrophic happens, but yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the only question, and it sort of ties into the discussion around grant possibilities. So utilizing SOBEC, they did a comprehensive analysis, and as Craig and Dr. Roach indicated, so the total roof repair at the high school as written is around $2.7 million. The sections 17, 18, 19, and 20 likely would need are Fs and would need addressed, but would also be touched in any type of renovation. There's a couple of items on the top 10 list that, from the high school, that would also need to be touched. The reason we put the roof question up there is that there is a public school facility improvement grant that is currently available. It actually opens up on Friday. It's actually a quite interesting grant that I would make a recommendation to this committee to write for. Now, here's the catch. It's up to $5 million. Yes, I would pay my salary 40,000 times if I got it. But this is an interesting grant in that it's a 25-75, which means whatever the total we write for, we pay 25%, they pay 75%. Like, we can write for that much, which is fairly unique in the grant world. You're going to hear another recommendation of mine that's a 50-50. But the reason I ask is because I have to write the grant. It opens March 1st. Am I going after all Fs? Good question. It closes May 31st. So I think, and remember, so Sobek's evaluation of our roofs was from 22. The cost per square foot on the roof replacement has increased then. I can imagine, I don't know. I happened to be sitting next to Doug on Friday and he showed me that it's like, it is up, but we would want to connect back with Sobek because we would work with them to do the bidding specs. I would write that as part of the grant. We would have to bid the project. You know all of that work through the facilities department. The question becomes the direction of the writing. What do you want me to focus on? Because the high school is the worst roof structures in the district.
The 4-5 is right on top.
Yeah.
4-5 is
Right
up there
behind
too, no kidding. So actually Hereford, so when we look at the totals of the sections, and these are the roof reports from Sobek, 4-5 is about 2.3 million of $22, 2022. Hereford has some needs as well, but they aren't Fs. So I guess the question is I'm looking for direction from the committee about, what is our comfort in how much, and what, I could write for all the roofs at the 4-5 building.
Wow.
But the committee would have to make the recommendation that we would do the 25% of that.
So we could do the 1.25 million of the 5 million, 25%.
Best/worst case scenario.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's as much as we would have to put up.
Correct.
So does that include engineering fees, or does that include all that?
Yes.
The
I would have to
bid
write.
process and all?
Yep, so I would have to do all the bid tabulations, cost estimates. The work has been done by Sobek, that's great. So we would ask for our agreement to have Sobek do the bidding and then, go out on pen bid and go through that process. I would also need a commitment letter. So once I have it drafted and we see what the total grant request is, I would look for consent from the board. You have to do it as part of the submission for the 25%. So it's just whatever the committee's recommendation is. And it was, when I put this together, I said, well, the high school's the worst, but
Well,
Total dollar amount.
so what's sad to me is that we have to do all that for 4-5, since we were never gonna use it. And we just did 200 and some thousand on the 4-5 center in the front.
That's that.
Correct. So, and I'm not
Major
talking.
needs on the 4-5 are over the gym and the
yes,
the gym, the tech ed and all
That was my next question.
That's where it
Thank
is.
you. Yeah. Gym and tech ed, so that's like right behind the front.
Down to
Yeah,
the,
more like towards like the.
I know, I'm trying to
like the
picture where
L
everything
shape,
is.
yeah.
if you're standing at the school, it's to the
To
right
the
back
right,
corner.
and the back.
It's a gym.
Oh, you mean it's the big, huge gym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one at the very back?
Yeah, but
Like
it's
where we
okay.
have all the drainage issues?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, if we, and if we knew the direction of the high school, that would probably guide us to direct these funds.
Right.
Even if from, the concept from KCBA, there might be some sections of the high school that we could tackle. We do know that section back, I think it's 18,
Yes,
if
18.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this 770,000. We know that that's the neediest roof section based on the evaluation done. We also don't want to let that go too long.
So that was kind of be my next question. I understand these are all poorly graded.
Mhm.
What are we seeing in terms of, leaks or actual issues right now with everything?
We still have, we have some at the athletic wing where it's on the wall, to where it's coming down.
The high school?
Yes.
So what section would that be then? Is that 18 like you're talking about, or?
They pull it.
Do we have a number map?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna ask that, and I didn't know if I missed the number map last month, the only facilities I've missed in 7 years.
I think when we share this document with you, I think you can click in, you'll see it,
Oh, okay, good.
the links at the top.
Okay,
So It's a
perfect.
matter of sharing this.
Perfect.
Well, what if you bid the two buildings in totality, and we only got a partial? Could we then pick and choose what we want to do?
I can write for multiple buildings. That's, you can pick a single building, or you can write for multiple buildings. Either of those is acceptable. What I write, the scope of the grant, I'll use Sobek's work, so I would want to be very specific about that.
Mhm.
Although, it doesn't mean they'll give us
Oh, I know,
the
right?
whole grant.
But still, if we got, 60% of what we were asking, it's a hell of a lot better than we started out with.
Correct. And this was one of those opportunities where
This just popped right,
it did. It opened February. I was super excited.
Yeah, I'm sure. That was in case you didn't know.
Even without looking at things, I would say let's write for multiple areas, multiple buildings, the worst spots that you believe should be fixed first, and then see what we can get.
So then is it, it's.
Instead of just saying, let's do the
part of
entire
list
high
here?
school.
Yeah.
Pardon?
So it'd be the top part of this list then, so these sections of the high school, the 4-5 center, one in Hereford.
Including Hereford.
Yeah.
Well, so at the high school, if you look at the cost sheet from Sobek, I just pulled this into a single doc so we didn't have to look at it. But if you look, it's the section 18,
It's right where the.
Where your mouse
17,
is?
18, 19, like that whole
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
20, now 20 was part of KCBA's rendering, so I don't,
Wait, where's 20?
all the way
On
in
the
front
front.
there.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
sort
it.
of this whole stretch. My understanding from the gentleman over at the high school is that this section, the 17, 18, and Craig, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there are sections where it is fully penetrating
Yes.
into the
We talked about this 2 years ago.
substrate.
And when you stand
It's not
there,
it's not
Yes.
It's squishy.
You switch it, you
Yeah.
switch it up there, yes. Yes.
So-
Not great.
No.
18 is this.
So I like your idea, Keith, going after the multiple buildings, right, at least writing it up for that, right? And then we see what comes of it. Now, I think the question is, are we okay shelling out? Let's just say, best, worst thing happens,
Right.
we get that full grant, are we okay shelling out the
I
$1.25
just think
million?
it's a shame to spend another 300,000 on the 4-5 center, and then $1 million, and that's a lot. It's all off the top of the
4-5
list.
is another conversation.
4-5 is a disaster area, apparently. I mean, that's the way it looks.
If we get it, we don't have to take it? Like, we can choose that? Or is, you said we have to sign an agreement?
Yeah, I mean, so what you would do is we would do a board, sort of letter of support. It would attest that you would match the 25% to the grant.
Okay, so what we ask her to write, we have to be prepared to, okay.
To apply it
So
and
if
have
we
it.
wanna- just say 5.5.
Well, yeah, the balance there is you're looking at, what, 9 million here?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
I know.
know, if you were to write for 500 and you had to put 1.2 on, you're only scratching the surface of the first couple Fs of what you could potentially get with that money.
And the only roof structures that are out of warranty will be the 4-5.
Yeah.
Yep, 2024.
That's September. I don't know why. I need to change my password. Sorry, everyone. Wow. I'm in a data breach, everyone.
Very consistent.
Call
These
Jim.
back here.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Please don't tell them I just hit okay to that.
And those are the areas we don't even use of that building.
This is the unoccupied section of the building.
Yeah, I mean,
But the tech ed
Right.
room is used, the gym sometimes, yeah.
yeah, I mean, the 4-5 is another conversation, again, not being here at the time, but having the able to do the work. But again, going through the feasibility study, the question is, if that building is going to come offline, is there going to be a new building going on, or is it a matter of re-going from 5 down to 4? And then we can go down the Doug Kenwood road of talking about adding something at the middle school, which is a whole other conversation. The room's not there to go back to K-5.
Let's just decide it all today and be
Yeah,
No, I'm just-
we'll be done, yeah. Easy
That's fine.
cake.
That's fine.
approved.
Yeah, and we're not coming today to try to pressure anyone about the high school. We understand that piece, and I know at some point it's going to be a discussion with Drew and the ability. You mentioned you were with Mr. Kenwood on Friday, and I saw him, their district, doesn't matter with us, but they're going out for renderings for a new building, high school.
Yeah.
So they're up in the 2+ million, 200+
Yeah.
conversations. So, we just don't want to have, the roofing piece and then get to
And
the
then
point.
have to mess it up
And then have
again.
to mess it up based upon that. But that could be what needs to happen, or.
But I think there's
Yeah.
plenty here that we could spend the money on, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
we
yeah,
get the
that's-
grant, we say like, all right, by the time we figure out, we get the grant, we decided we're gonna do this at the high school for some kind of
Right.
renovation.
But I don't know how specific, if she's writing the
Right,
grant
like, what happened with
for
that?
these specific routes, and then
And
you get it, and then it's like, no, that's what you said you were gonna do. You said you were gonna do section 10,
Yeah.
and
Right.
now you wanna do section 12.
Flexible like that.
I don't know how that works.
I don't think it's flexible like that.
Was.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, we have to have the reports that back it up that show the need. And so what I wouldn't believe would be approved is that if we're writing it for Fs, and then we make a different decision about the high school, and so now we're diverting that money to Cs.
Yeah.
Because these are the seminal documents that I'll use to support the grant. So that's why I said I want to be cautious, because I want us to make sure that, well, number one, we're getting these kind of grant funds. This is a good opportunity for the district to offset some
Sure.
hefty facilities expenses, but also that we're not going to be cracking into it if we ever.
Right. Well, from what KCB said before, if they wanted to do something with the front of the building, we'd be knocking out 20. And what is right next, on top of 20 is 18.
This is that
Because
main
you're
part
right,
of
that's,
it.
that's a circle around there. So if you wanted to exclude things, I would say exclude 18 and 20.
Actually, their rendering was pumping out
All of this.
All
Yeah.
here,
all the way down to here,
Right,
with a bump out here.
right.
That's all.
So if we were doing roof
This is the enterprise
repairs,
here, right?
that and the one right above it would be affected by it if we did do the bump out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be 18 and 20, that would be
That the
be
new entrance
affected.
or?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
I think
But
my
that doesn't-
concern is
But we don't want to
18
spend
is
money on
our,
something that we're,
is
yeah.
I mean, that's the
This is all
like, big
18,
guy,
right?
780,000.
Yeah. I don't know, if they went through, if we did some kind of renovation there or something, on the front of the school, if they would even replace all of 18 as part of that, probably not.
No.
There'd be some kind of blending
No.
in.
But that's what I'm heading towards. I mean, you could cut off 20, because if we do something, we would most likely end up doing something similar to what they want, but probably not everything that they want. You know, we revamp the front of the building. So we wouldn't lose that investment that we'd be making. The question would be to Drew, just offhand, would we be able to find something to supplement our costs, our share of the costs if we bid this, if we apply for it?
The 25%?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have a good answer about if we could find it, but we do have 9 million sitting in capital reserve, 9.2 million sitting in capital reserve.
Is it earmarked?
It is earmarked for capital improvements.
Oh.
Legally, it
But
can only be spent
nothing
on capital improvements.
Right.
Right.
But some of that, we do have a few things in there that we do have earmarked, like turf fields and things like that.
That's separate.
That's separate.
Is it?
Is it separate?
Or is it just,
So-
It's all one pile.
Yeah, it's
so we don't have anything
it's a technical term,
designated?
it's all one pile.
Yeah.
But it's all just legally set in that capital reserve fund. So
Okay.
it just needs to be spent on capital improvements. But
We've
it's not-
discussed things like the turf that we want.
Right,
Is
we
that
put
what you're
something
saying?
away,
But it's
we're
not like
thinking, oh,
legally,
We'll put this away for the turf,
okay.
but it's not trying to count as.
We've
this is for
been
the turf.
doing that for the 13
And
years that we
Yeah.
have.
Okay.
Well, supposedly, we've been doing it for the 13 years.
I just want to be clear, it's not
Supposed to be
legally
like
like.
70,000 a year.
No, it's just like your
But-
household
Like an
reserves.
internal
If you're
designation.
planning on going on a vacation, all of a sudden your heater blows up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that
like,
kind,
well,
yeah.
that was earmarked and now it's not. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
That's
Dr.
the
Freeman,
So-
is this a first come, first served, like, will it end if you don't apply tomorrow, or?
Oh, no, I have from March 1st through May 31st.
Okay, there's no like rush, we're not, like, if you
No,
apply, you
I-
have the same chance of getting it on the 31st as you would on the 1st.
Correct, correct.
You know, it's
I would
further
just
down
say,
the
I
road.
would just say, we would ask probably SOBEC to come back in to update the expenditure, so I have,
With the better numbers.
to understand the real cost.
Okay.
And we do have an agreement with him, I don't know the scope of that. And I would need to move a board resolution forward by April, just for that 25%. So, you know, if I can work on this, I have some really good information, but I think from the perspective of getting updated cost, we would ask the committee to support us, reaching back out to SOBEC to see.
So I think.
I
think
would
you have to
support
do
it to
that.
move forward and see what we can do.
Yep.
The one question that I'll ask for some of the new people that are here, these grants are competitive. It's based on what we submit and what they think we need. So
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee, but we may get some, we may get nothing, we may get all. Probably some, if anything.
Right, and we don't have to do anything if we don't get it. I mean, not that I think that that's a great idea.
No, I'm glad you said that, because the
But-
next follow-up is, when does this have to be spent by? Do they have an expenditure date that we
2
have
years,
to do
we
it?
had 2 years.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yes.
because the other conversation is related to, you know, some of these projects can't be done necessarily
Over the
while
summer.
kids are in session.
Right.
so,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Perfect.
Yikes.
I would make the recommendation, we move forward.
All right, so Craig will reach out.
And we were focused mostly on the Fs and Ds as possibilities.
Yeah. 745 is out of warranty, so.
Yeah. We need to have a conversation about 4.5. I don't know what the answer is, but there has to be one.
They're in the top 10 a couple times.
I know they
So
are.
is the high school.
I know they are.
I should use it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That
Good
happened.
discussing, huh?
Yeah. Well, facilities top 10 list,
Yep.
I gave, everybody should have a sheet that, they're prepared.
Not even look at that.
So one of the biggest things that I just want to touch on really quick is the wastewater for Marlboro. We have to get some work done up there. I'm going to get some quotes on that because that's going to be a big job. We really have to give some attention to that. that's something that's, it's corroded, where, and that tank is just not in good stable condition at the end of the day.
It's 30-some years old, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as part of the KCBA study, there was a wastewater
Yeah, they did that.
plan,
Covered that.
and we had the opportunity to sit down with the district mechanics and Andrew specifically, who manages that. And as you know, this is an environmental issue if it begins to leak, and then,
Same building in the back that we have.
correct,
The one that we went to see.
correct, damage from tree branches, but it's actually the tank
I would-
itself
Okay,
that needs repair, so,
And that's important, just a prime example, I was at the middle school, and the new homes that they built over there, they trashed what is that one, our grates. They trashed all our grates. So we put a plan together tomorrow that we're cleaning all that out, but the inspector pointed it out to me. And it was from the new construction from across the street, but we own it, so we have to clean it. But it's no cost to us, we're doing it in-house.
So do we need to, oh,
No, we're doing it
all right.
in-house. I was
I
just
was
saying,
gonna
as an
say, do we need to
example.
go to Pennsburg?
Oh, no, that's for example, for the
Because we will.
environmental, you know, God forbid.
Well,
if
no,
somebody else-
you're talking about where the,
Storm drains.
no,
Well,
but
Montgomery
the
Avenue.
construction that they were doing was that where they were started the demolition of where they want to put that new development, or where Stillwater's was by
I believe it's a new development,
Yeah,
from what the
yeah.
inspector was.
Down by the
telling
blue
me.
and white buildings. on the
Yeah.
top, yeah.
But we own it, so.
That was our
We
drainage.
gotta clean it, and we're cleaning it tomorrow.
That
Are we
doesn't have
talking
anything to do
about
with
the
law.
No,
I just got totally lost, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that's an environmental issue as well, so.
So, it's also from 2022. So when we met and discussed, I don't know, I think you guys, did the committee see the wastewater evaluation?
I don't think we did. I don't think we did.
I'll bring that back to the table.
Well,
So they made
Last time.
several recommendations around that, both including the exterior structure and the roof.
Who's that, KCB?
Craig, did you bring it?
Yep.
The, sorry, I forgot the name.
I know.
Giza.
And Craig took, no, not Giza.
Oh.
Craig took my hard copy,
Okay,
so I couldn't
so-
remember. But ultimately, we would want to bring them back in to get quotes, because it seems to be the tank at issue before we have an environmental hazard, which would take much more to remediate.
Yeah.
And so in talking, I'll talk a little bit about another grant. We didn't believe that, in Andrew's opinion, Andrew Hannon, who manages it, we don't have time to wait for that.
Andrew Handon manages what?
So
The
he
wastewater treatment
addresses
plant
it.
at Marlboro.
So we would also.
In other words, we
That's
need
an
to get
LD.
that fixed and we need to do it
Correct.
right now?
Right.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
it's good.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It jumped from, you know, in the KCBA report to right now issue.
So the timeline you have on here, that's to get it quoted or figure it out, or to get it completed?
Get all the information for you, gather it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
boy, that's
And
a
hopefully
long
It's gonna take
timeline
till
for
August to get
something
that
that's not in a
Well,
hurry.
it'll be so.
I
So
think,
can we treat it as a repair? Why couldn't we? It's a repair.
It's a repair, it's also a capital improvement, so it would extend the useful life of the asset.
Or it would pollute the creek, like.
But, so we can use, Dr. Farina does have the expenditure column there, capital reserve, so it would qualify so that we can pay for it as soon as we get all the necessary work prepped and ready to go.
Do we know what the cost was in 2022?
yeah. Do you have that hard
I don't have
copy?
the cost, I have what needed to be done, and the scope of work that they requested, but not the cost.
I mean, I know it's gonna change, but
It is, yeah.
just curious what the figure was then.
Didn't go down.
No, it didn't go down, I'm sure.
I don't remember the total, but I believe when we met, just the tank itself was around 70,000, I think, if I'm
Oh,
remembering.
that's not,
correctly.
that's a piece of cake.
Yeah, right, before
Oh,
it's,
yeah, before anything happens to it, that gets done.
That's
right.
not that scary.
No.
I mean, 70 grand's nothing to.
No,
But
but it's not
I
a million
agree.
70 grand.
Yeah.
Just move forward, start
yes,
Yeah,
Yep.
remediating it.
yep.
yep.
I agree.
That's why we have a capital reserve.
Exactly.
They'll argue it out as to whether it was repaired
We
later.
got $9 million to spend.
So is that a motion, or is that
Just keep writing, Chad.
Do you need a motion? to
I'm
do
just
that?
asking the question true, because I want to make sure we follow the process to.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably gonna have to bid that out, so we would have to bring the low bid back to the board.
No, allowed to be a motion, so let's get that together.
Okay. You kept Art around with arts. Sorry.
Pun intended?
No, unintended.
Unintended, okay.
Unintended. Okay.
JP, I did hear from Ronnie, he says there's been no change in the armed guard at the middle school.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had to be sick, they had to be sick or something.
okay.
I guess we're moving, I'm ready.
So I don't know if anybody has any questions on
This is the first time people are seeing this
Yeah.
top 10,
Yeah.
this type of thing, so
Yeah.
maybe we let it sit for a little while, maybe besides.
And then bring it back.
We can bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to,
The top 10, you
I'm not
mean?
trying to get out in an hour, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to say that.
Yeah.
So
But nothing else is like this urgent, right?
No, there's
Okay.
one other
Yes.
grant that does have a timeline on
Okay.
it. And just so, you know, we met and had, there's a lot of other deferred ECMs from the Giza
Yeah.
project
Sure
that we
was.
didn't put on there. And there's a lot of other recommendations from KCBA. The lens with which this was developed is if there's a sort of catastrophic failure of this equipment, can kids come to school? So we, you know, is it safe? What happens if it breaks was really the lens. I learned a lot by asking lots of questions. I had no idea what a VFD was until the other day. Now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yep.
I would like to highlight one that is also at the high school, but this would also include 4-5. And that is abatement.
Oh, the
So
bad A word.
it is. It's not like the M word, but it is something we don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
So, there is a grant available to schools. It's the Public School Environmental Repair Grant. So we can write this grant up to $500,000, but it's a 50-50 match.
Okay.
We had our 6-month AHERA report that Craig shared with you back in November. There is enough substance to that report that I would like to write for the abatement of the high school, as well as some of the other buildings, which include the 4-5 in Hereford at a very small scale. I don't,
I thought we cleaned 4-5 all the way up.
yeah, so
Even
some
the
of
elevator
this, some
stuff
of
that-
this is tile work.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I don't think we are in the $500,000 range for total abatement. I talked with the man who did our HERA report on Friday, just to say, we have another 3-year coming up in October. What's the difference? Because I didn't know. And do we think that this would expand? And he said no.
No.
It would be primarily focused on the high school, where we would need extensive abatement in some sections. And I'm asking if the committee would,
Does that include, so you have to take things apart in order to, because I know where it is, so I know we have to take things apart in order to get to it, to abate it. Does that, any of that grant work include the refixing of it?
yes,
Okay.
it does.
Just
Yes.
start
Feel
to
better
finish,
now.
basically.
Yes,
Whatever you
yep.
should do.
It's anything impacted by the actual abatement process. And so, you know, the collateral impact of that is, nobody can be there when it's done.
Right.
There's some
So,
sections of the high school that won't be able to be utilized through the summer, which will be frustrating. But that's, I mean, we
Well,
can't
it is
move
what it
forward
is.
with other, even if we want to talk about something in a couple of years,
Right.
this work has to be done to be able to do that.
Yep.
Okay.
so my request would be that Craig would be able to contact to get an updated quote on what abatement would look, how much it would cost, to be able to bring it back, to get consent from the committee to move forward, so that I would write. This grant does not open until May 1st.
Oh, good.
So we
it's-
have time,
Okay.
and it closes on June 30th. So this is a 50% match, so we would have a better idea of what that would be.
Okay.
But even with
Also,
that said, I'm
a
trying to
cap-
make sure, I just want to make sure that we are looking, as we're going forward, to plan some abatement this summer, because if not, the HERA report, we're not doing anything with it.
Right.
We have it, we know it, we've got to do, move on it.
Yeah, we've been working on it.
Yeah, I think we
It's
got,
better
we
than
lost
what I
last
got.
summer something with the transition, we didn't, not much was done last summer, so I think it's what you're referencing, that people on the HERA report's like, it's pretty easy for me to
Yeah,
read.
it is.
Yeah, you know.
Pun intended.
I think we like Craig to move forward and get the quotes.
I reached out to Barry Associates, who did our softball field, who did all the quotes for us over the last summer. So Rob is going to get back to me hopefully sometime this week. I'll reach out and back after him again tomorrow, see any updates.
Okay.
So right now, we're going for, in the top 10 list, 1,
7.
6, 7.
6 and 7?
Are we doing the VFD?
We didn't
Oh,
get
okay.
there.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you just
Just,
mentioned
no,
it again.
I just learned what it
She
was.
was just
Okay.
crashing.
I saw a picture. It was really-
Just trying to look at it with more acronyms.
I also
Here,
learned what
VFD.
Westinghouse service equipment is.
There you go.
Okay, okay, so the
1,
asbestos,
7,
the sewer plant,
and
the
roofing.
asbestos, and the roofing.
Roofing.
So there's 3 so far.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid start.
Boy, I'd say.
When you get
It's a
the,
couple million
you get the
dollars.
grants, is it immediately you get the money and how long do you have to wait?
What do your disbursements look like?
It really depends on the grant and how they set it up. Sometimes it's reimbursable, where you have to put all the money out and then they send it. Sometimes they'll just send you every month some portion of it. I mean, these are probably reimbursable, I would guess. Or, I don't know, sometimes they just,
Yeah.
they lump some money to you, but then you have to be careful about, you need to spend it quickly too.
And then send them accounting for how you spend it.
Because you're not allowed to keep X number of interest on that earnings.
Mhm.
So-
It just- It just kind of depends on
Can't
how
hold it
they.
for 5 years and make another $1 million on it. and-
Right.
And part of our obligation
There goes the whole
is
thing.
reporting. So for every grant that we secure, Drew and I work together to do quarterly progress updates on the work described as well as the fiscal component. So. it's really
Because
fun
heaven
time.
forbid, there's no accountability.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Boy, they sure do. And then you get 17 things if you're late or missing one thing. So.
Who gives this grant money? Like, it's this amorphous, nebulous.
Honestly, it's different, and this is the Department of Community and Economic Development.
Okay.
And so, it's random, honestly. Drew
Yeah.
sends out updates from the business office, and I say, oh, look at those grants.
Makes her day.
It's
Yeah.
it's through the state, but what I don't know is if they're using that federal money that they have sort of sitting over in their coffers,
Yep,
or if it's actually state budget money.
gotcha.
So how long after you submit the grant do you get the award notice
Or not.
or not?
Well, I would like to tell you it's usually within a couple weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty quick, their turnaround. We were in a situation where I wrote a grant for PCCD, and it was due March 31st, and they were to notify us in June, and we didn't hear till the following March. And they expected us to spend the money, but we did not, because it was personnel related, and that's too risky if we wouldn't have secured the funds.
So once you find out that the good news is you were awarded the money, well, I guess I'm really reiterating that question that was asked before. How does that money come in? And how soon do you have to start using it? And then you give them the quarterly reports, whatnot. What is the size of the pot that money's coming from? You said up to 5 million, and it's highly competitive, and I would assume, maybe wrongly, that more than one organization is going to receive
Oh.
one.
For sure. I can tell you what each of these pots is. I have to look back. It's
Okay.
not in the application documents that I
Okay.
have. But generally, it's
It's
a,
big.
it's huge.
And so
Their
you get
grant-
some, and they get some,
Yeah,
and
they
they get
disperse
some.
it. And sometimes it's meritorious, and sometimes it's competitive. So in our last meeting, I talked about the safety and security grants. One was meritorious, the next is competitive, and that's up to $450,000. That's the maximum a public school can rank for in Pennsylvania. So they generally will not give all of that money up front. They'll give you a portion of what they think you should do.
Okay.
It's always associated with your project, but, you know, I've rarely seen anybody get their full grant award.
Mhm. So you
But-
try to go for as much as you can. and-
Yeah, I always
Hope
write
for
for
the
the
best.
most and then curtail the expectation.
Oh, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
All right,
You
so
can't
does
go
that,
up, you can always go down.
Yeah.
does that cover all your grant projects you wanted to discuss?
It does.
Okay.
Is this
Thank
P-
you.
Is this PCCD, is that what it mentions?
That's the final competitive grant that's out there that I talked about. We are in the works for finalizing that. That's 400, we are writing for all 450,000. And just so everyone knows, that is for associated with the baseline criteria of PCCD. What we're trying to secure is updated visitor management that includes attendance, as well as connects with databases for offenders. We currently have a system, it is not good. I won't name it, but there are some needs, and so we want to enhance it for safety and security reasons. Also, door prop alarms, which is a level 1 recommendation in the baseline criteria. Stop the prop. I think we've all heard the horribleness of people, you know, chalking doors and doing all these things that have led to some of the most tragic events in school history. And so one of the recommendations out of PCCD is door alarms. And so those are, if doors are opened, that, unloading docks and
Exterior doors?
Exterior doors. And so we're writing for that. We've been viewing products to try and find something that would work and integrate into either our burglar alarm or our iPro camera system. And then the final is the total replacement cost for the high school gym exterior doors, which don't meet the criteria as outlined by Safe Schools. So,
And they're not real waterproof either.
that's one of the fringe benefits
Yep.
of getting new ones.
Yep.
But they would meet that criteria, be impact resistant, have a viewing pane, and be able to be secured. So that is what it's due Thursday, so I'm writing for those things. I'll
Good
let
luck,
you
we're
know.
all counting on you.
Yeah. No pressure. What's the match on that one?
No match,
No match.
Yeah.
no match.
That's just an award to us.
Exterior doors, meaning
The
the
gym,
far end of the gym?
Yep,
Yes, sir.
to replace all of those back there.
Back to your top 10 list for the 4 or 5 last item on the list about the water heater. Is that something you can go with that or not?
Yeah, so ultimately, the recommendation out of KCBA and the Giza study was a dual heating system. Craig, please,
Yes, you're absolutely right.
please move along. We have one heater
We have one.
in storage for replacement.
Yep.
We would request a second one, so it satisfies. I learned all kinds of things, like
And we'll be installing that in June.
we'll be installing one in June.
Awesome.
We would
Need the
So we're looking
seek
to
support
purchase
to
the
get a
second
second
one.
one.
Okay, so we don't need to take any action on that right now? Okay,
I don't think so.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Well, except for it takes a long time to get anything. Is it
Well,
still taking forever to get anything? And to make sure we can do it over the summer?
Yeah, it depends on what we're looking to do. It's still a problem with supply chain, no two ways about that. So we just have to nail it down, figure out where we want to go, and then target on that. Yeah.
Okay.
And for me to stay on the builder's butt.
Yeah. The labor will be done by our mechanics,
Yes.
and
Fill
so
the
it's
roads.
really
Oh,
the
okay. No, you fill
cost
the roads.
of
That's helpful.
a second heater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was like $6,000.
Yeah. I was able to get a half price, so.
It's pocket change.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah. Oy.
All right.
So I did find some more information about, specifically your question. When the state finalized their budget, this is the money that we're talking about here that Dr. Farina is writing for. So the the Public School Environmental Repairs Program was 75 million. And then the Public School Facility Improvement Grant Program is 100 million.
Oh, so the buckets are big.
That's still
And
not a lot of
honestly,
buckets, though.
I don't know how many people apply for grants. It's a lot of work. I enjoy it, so I do it, but, some people don't want to go through the red tape to do it.
Well, and then the reporting back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
The
actually,
reporting back is
Yeah.
also a big part of it,
Sure.
that people don't like to do.
Absolutely.
We just happen to have some really good data for both of these.
Mhm.
This roofing report
It's right up the alley, yeah.
is,
Big time.
it couldn't have been, yeah. And he did a great job, so.
But that state budget also has to be finalized yet. Did you just say that?
So this was whenever they, just a month ago, when the state finally finished the budget for this year, February,
Yeah.
8, 9, how many months late? That's where this money was then released and where they sent out all the information that Dr. Farina is looking at to apply. But we still need to have our budget June 30th, right?
So this part of it has been approved.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
It's real money.
That's real money.
It's real money.
Yeah, it's real money.
Yeah.
Not funny, but it's real money. That still isn't a lot, though. If you can write for 5 million and there's only 100 million in the pool and there's 500 school districts, that kind of sucks. Let's hope they all
Yeah.
don't want to do it.
We're gonna
Except for
run
us.
that decorators out.
It's like a whole 100
Depends how
million.
many are motivated.
That's true.
All right, so that's enough about grants. Let's talk about the pool.
Wow.
That's all we got, Andrea.
Yeah.
The pool study from a structural engineer, we got done last week. We got the results, and the results were surprisingly very good.
Yeah.
We have a good sound structure
It's
for
only
the
1.6
pool.
million.
Yeah.
We have a good sound structure for the pool, so we're good for a couple of years until we figure out what we want to do with the high school as far as renovations or overall getting a whole new pool.
So nothing urgent
No.
or pressing right now?
Not at all, not at all.
Wasn't there a worry about condensation and everything underneath in the rooms below?
Yeah, and he addressed it, and he addressed everything in there, yeah. Yes, sir.
So in the KCB,
He did a
in the
fantastic
KCB
job
study, what was the 1.6 million that they talked about?
for
For the pool?
for renovation for the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Was
a whole
that-
new pool.
For
Yes,
fun.
yes, yes.
And they're the ones that recommended getting a structural engineer to
Yeah,
go
they
these
sure
sort of
did,
things
yeah.
to make sure that we all of a sudden, who came in one day and just had a hole.
Yeah, well, I think it's worth making sure. Yeah, so.
That's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we have a separate person come in and do the pool assessment?
Yes.
Weston and Sampson,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
Okay.
And then Barry Isaac and Associates came in and
For the structural
took a
engineer.
look.
Keep it on the radar, Greg.
Yes, ma'am, I sure will.
Is that window down there in the diving well still there?
Yes.
Yep, it sure is.
It's like a bad submarine movie.
That's cool.
It's terrifying.
It makes water polo, you have a whole new appreciation for it because you see all their legs and they're kicking the heck out of each other. It's great. It's awesome, actually.
And then the last thing I didn't have on
Yeah,
there
exactly. You thought they were on top.
was for a Marlboro, it was for PTFS, for a pavilion, that they were, well, not awarded, but
No, PTFS would like, as they're raising money, they approached Ally about potentially adding a pavilion to the area outside by the playground, which would then be on the inside of the fence
That's just.
that eventually would come up. So
That's
what the conversation Mr. Howard and I had with Ally was that initially, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that this wasn't going to be partially district funded like the playground was, because that was more of a function, that if they wanted to do that, it would have to be
On
a
their own.
gift,
Yeah.
and it has to go through all the phases with the engineering and the, whatever that process is. But my caution here, as from where I sit, is if there was a pavilion to pop up at Marlboro,
Yeah.
we'd have a couple of those schools going,
Hey, 4 other ones,
you know,
yeah.
do we have a pavilion? Now, I know that the Ant Foundation is talking about a big project in an outdoor classroom setting in all 5 buildings that would be similar to, maybe not exactly a pavilion, but that's been on their radar for a year and a half now. So I had asked Mr. Howard just to put this on as an FYI, that if you hear that the Marlboro PTFS is discussing or fundraising, it is for the potential. I don't know if the feedback has gotten back, or we've heard back that, they felt maybe it was a portion of something like the playground, which we have at all our buildings, and we
Right.
funded that, and we appreciate their fundraising. But just again, an FYI for the committee, that we
It's in
have
the
a gift,
conversation stages, right?
we have a gift policy, which we would actually have to accept that if that's what it was, and I think it's different than accepting the movable lights from a different group that would might want to give us that.
Right.
This is a structure that would have to be engineered, and then we would have to upkeep it and all of that.
Keep it bee-free.
All of that.
And do we then take liability for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a part of the conversation. I think when we talked about the fences, I also shared that the way the Marlboro fence is going in up by the playground, the plans would be to close that up at nights and on the weekends, so it doesn't become a dog park, it doesn't become a place to hang. I mean, that's the reality of what happens sometimes. If they're putting a fence in there, that's the way it's gonna remain. So this would actually, I guess, be on the inside of that fence. If you know where the playground is, kind of in between the playground and the school, with the area they were thinking about, which sounds wonderful, it's just a matter of a lot of logistical pieces, and I don't know if we even know what costs they were talking about. I think it
Yeah,
was just
how much have they raised?
I don't know,
Okay.
yeah. My experience with some PTFS, not just here, in other places, is people raise money and they're like, okay, what do you want to spend it on? So it's that experience piece, so. Anyway, just share with the committee that could be fruit. So if it does become a little more serious on their end, then we will want to make sure that before they really got started with doing anything, with contacting anyone, that would be something that the district would want to accept as a gift.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it would be.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
just, yeah, like to see
We'll cross
that,
that pavilion when we get to it.
There you go.
that conversation's taking place. And we're thrilled with the PTFS, they support our students, they provide
Yeah,
excellent
you're great.
opportunities. That's
You're great.
not a question, it's just something to think about that. And the last we heard from Hereford, they wanted to get a digital sign out in front of Hereford from the PTFS. And I spoke with the one parent and said that we have to make sure we check with the township. In a previous life, there was a township that was like, oh, you're not having lights on here,
All right.
or it's gotta be off by 8 o'clock, or whatever those things are.
Some kind of regulation.
So again, different things that would maybe be a different gift, so to speak, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We went through, 10 things to get the sign at the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
All right, is there any comments from the members of the public? Any more comments, I guess I should say?
When you mention asbestos, is that more mold that?
No, we don't say the M word
No,
ever.
don't say that.
Asbestos is
We paid enough.
the fibers that are in tiles and roofing material and installation.
And around
insulation.
piping
And fire
and
protection.
that they used a long time ago,
That they have to be
abated.
replaced or no?
No, removed.
Or removed?
Removed or encapsulated.
Yep. Yeah.
Craig, I mentioned before about the dates to the stadium being in. Next Tuesday evening, we have our first rental, okay? And from 7 to 9. And I walked down there today to look at the gate. It's in sad shape. Without a hammer, I would never be able to get that latch off. It's just so out of whack, it's strange. The first gate's a sliding gate, which is the cyclone, which isn't a problem. The issue is that the poles either turn or are just out of whack, which doesn't make the abutment of when you close them, right?
Oh, I know, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one side is higher than
Oh,
the
okay.
two on top of that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's,
Okay.
Okay.
and we do have stuff for, I think it starts up again on the 16th, and then we're going through March so far. That's the first wave from PA Dominion as far as rentals. And I'm sure there'll be stuff dropped in between. But the main thing is the double big gate
Yeah,
going back to
Yeah, definitely.
the drive, yeah.
Across season,
And I'm sure it's been adjusted several times.
Oh, it's been adjusted several times.
Yeah,
But I'll go over there.
Maybe it needs some new cement to keep it
Is it a
home.
try?
yeah,
Try?
yeah, going into Tribe at the end of the walk, yeah. That's all I had.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, any committee member comments? Okay.
Thank you, Andrea, for writing.
That'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you, everybody.
We need a little lottery or something.
Because it's a big one.
If I do that, I'll donate it back, I swear. I promise I
We've
will.
had, this was a few years ago, but we've had people that actually, the base, the middle, the chair picks up,